Michael with PianoWithMichael.com. I want to invite you to come to my music event, a night of music, where I not only perform some music, some classical favorites, but I also discuss how learning, playing, and creating music can empower your science mind and awaken your creative spirit. Think of it as a motivational piano show where I promote, educate, inspire, and entertain. All in the hopes that someone or all of you will be energized to start learning and playing music on the piano. Firstly, I want to say that I'm not a professional musician or a concert pianist, and I only took a couple of lessons of piano lessons many moons ago. But in the last few years, once I made learning fun and practice on a regular basis, I realized my mind was evolving. I was becoming deeply analytical, also very creative and kind of outside of the box thinking and imaginative, but I also saw a considerable increase in my confidence and self-esteem. Essentially, music on the piano empowered my science mind, awakened my creative spirit, and boosted my self-esteem. And so I want to share this experience in a free event so that others might find inspiration to spend some time learning and playing music. And in doing so, hopefully they'll empower their science mind and awaken their creative spirits. So in this event, a night of music, I'll promote, educate, inspire, and entertain. In promoting, I'll talk briefly about all the medical research that's available that highlights the cognitive benefits that music has on the development of the brain, especially our children. But I'll also talk about neurogenesis and neuroplasticity, and why learning and playing music is beneficial at any age, even mild age, but also can help prevent the development of Alzheimer's. But I'll also talk about ambidexterity and right-handedness and left-handedness in our society, and how developing the left hand in autonomous and creative ways might stimulate new areas in the right hemisphere of the brain, but also that ambidexterity, playing music on the piano, can increase the communication speed between the two hemispheres in the band that is known as the corpus callosum. Now in educating, I'll discuss the different methods to learning how to play the piano and how to learn music. And I'll share what I consider three important modalities of practice that has expanded my science mind and artistic mind. So in the methods to learning, in the classical ways, you have what I consider the most important way and the most beneficial way to learn music is having a good teacher, one that's very supportive and encouraging on not just the development but the continuation of learning music. And so I'm always going to put teachers at kind of the high pinnacle of, if you have the time and resources to take traditional lessons, I would greatly recommend a piano teacher. And then you also have schools. Obviously, you can enroll your child or student in grade schools or colleges or high schools, excuse me. But there are also private schools where you can drop your child off, or you can attend yourself, and where it's more of a business, but they have access to really good teachers, good curriculums. And so that's just another traditional way of learning music and learning how to play the piano. But for the people that don't have the time and don't have the resources, there are a lot of websites and applications online that provide almost like a virtual teacher that's very comprehensive, provide a very good curriculum. There are a lot of apps that people can use to learn music. But for others like myself, although I took 2 months of lessons, years ago, it wasn't until recently in the last, I'd say 3 or 4 years that I started getting serious, is that for self-starters, there's a lot of available resources online, YouTube videos. You can go down to the library, check out books, free books, and kind of learn how to assimilate the notes and how they correlate to the piano. I also have a book that you can, not just a book, but also a video that you can see online that will teach you the basics. But those are the methods to learn how to play the piano, and I'll kind of discuss that at this event. Now, the modalities of playing is kind of my own thing. This may rub some teachers and traditional musicians the wrong way, but it's something that worked for me. And again, I'm more of a person that kind of started learn on my own, and so I want to share my experience, not to discredit or take away from all the other methods to learn, but for those that want maybe a different way of learning or can see the benefits of my modalities, then I'll kind of discuss them. One obviously is learning music, so you want to learn a couple pieces here and there that'll strengthen your ability to read music, read the notes, but it'll also create a library of or a repertoire of pieces that will continually give you feedback, but also hopefully give you build your self-esteem, and you can share that with anyone who's interested in listening. Yeah, so number one, learning songs. Two is probably the most, I would say, the radical departure from the traditional lessons of learning, is that I call them exercising with your mind elsewhere. And so I quit taking piano lessons because I didn't like the exercises, I didn't like the routine, regimented skills that you had to learn. But now, in trying to become a better performer, I realize the importance of exercises. But what I've done is incorporate my exercises in a way that makes it at least fun, or at least engaging in a manner where I can actually do something else and still do the... Developing my finger dexterity, my spatial relations between the fingers, but also still increasing and developing, or stimulating a lot of different areas of the brain. And so in exercising, I have my monitor on my digital piano, and I kind of watch YouTube videos of things that inspire me, philosophy, inspirational leaders, history, sciences and stuff like that. But again, I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but it's a great way for people that don't like the routine exercises and would rather watch sports or watch Game of Thrones or whatever's appealing now on Netflix or Amazon, is that you can sit there and have your attention elsewhere and still do these exercises, scales, and these finger exercises, and develop that connectivity, the spatial awareness of the piano, and again, still stimulate the areas of the mind that's responsible for knowing where your hands and fingers are, and creating that finger dexterity. And then third is just, I would say, has been the greatest contributor to my creative endeavors, is just improvising and just allowing your mind to explore and not worry about timing, not worry about sticking within a certain frame structure or a certain chord structure, but just kind of dispensing of all the academics of music and really just allowing your creativity and imagination to explore while still just, timing or staying with any kind of structure, or even not necessarily even technique, but just kind of allowing my brain and my mind to kind of go off on these whimsical ideas, and again, improvising and just using your imagination and tying it with your left and right hand assimilation, I think has tapped into certain areas that I wasn't able to tap into when I was doing everything by rote memorization or learning pieces just in rote memory. And so there's something to be said, and I believe it's been the great contributor to at least what I would consider awakening that creative mind, is just improvising and exploring. Now, inspiring, the transformational story. I know that there are many people who play brilliantly, professionally, are professional musicians, and just can, sit down and play every genre, every styles, and just pretty much leave me in the dust when it comes to performance. But again, I'm not actually trying to teach people to become a musician. I'm not actually trying to express my abilities to play, but it's more about telling a story of how I used to be a very shy, very nervous, very closed-minded person, and suffer from bouts of anxiety, but then exercising and practicing on a regular basis the last 3 or 4 years has really opened up another part of me that is benefited from, at least, or has stemmed from my increasing complex views, but also having a more creative and problem-solving mind. And so the most important, and I guess my main objective of these concerts, and my whole purpose, is really to inspire the general public to use what I say is the fun of music and the power of the piano to empower their scientific mind, but also to awaken the creative spirit, and hopefully boost their self-esteem. Entertaining. At these events, I'll be performing. I'll have my digital piano connected to my laptop, which then I'll connect to the big screen TV, and I'll perform some various popular, simple classical pieces. I'll also perform my own composition, and hopefully, if I feel in the right mood, I'll improvise quite a bit. And I use a program that digitizes my fingering so that people should get an idea on the big screen of what might be neurologically firing and happening in both my left and right hemisphere of the brain. And so it's kind of a fun way to see how, not just how fast, but how the fingers move and what might be happening when my thoughts sit there and transfer my finger works on each note, and now you can graphically see it using this program. So it's kind of a fun way to see it. I'll be what I call harmonic fractals improvisation. I usually start with like a small, simple idea, and then I kind of expand on it like a fractal. And I have two improvisational chord structures. One is in C major, I call a sea of C's in C major, but I also do an A minor progression, which is off the Beethoven's Für Elise. Now, it'll be different. I play it differently every time I approach it, and that's the fun of improvisation. But it really all depends on how comfortable I feel. And so over time, as I do these events on a regular basis, hopefully I'll become more comfortable and my complexity will grow. And I call that a minor reflection on a minor. Entice and reward. I want this event to be fun, and I really want as many people as possible to come out, and so I've become energized to go out and talk to businesses and let them know what I'm working on and the premise of what this event is to do, which is inspire people to get into music and to develop that artistic side. I will have available to raffle off some gift cards to local restaurants and some entertainment places, but I'll also give away 20 of my piano books away for free. They're basically, the books will basically give you from the rudimentary understanding of music and how it correlates to the piano, so that anyone, and especially self-starters or anyone that doesn't have the time or resources to take traditional lessons, can actually get started, and then over time, if they practice on a regular basis, then they will be able to continue on like I did. And then I also have a bunch of videos that correlate to those books. But I'll make 20 of those, at least 20 of those books available. People that come, I'll use social media to entice people to come to the event. And again, it's meant to be fun, it's meant to be engaging. And if I get enough sponsorship from local businesses, I would like to make available a kind of a grand prize raffle. When I say raffle, for free, but a digital piano. That would be so cool. So I'm working on that, and we'll see how far I get on that. Now, what do I mean by the science mind and the creative spirit? What I mean by the science mind is basically being able to look at things very deeply, very analytically, very logically, but having a complex view of being able to break down things into different elementary components, and then also building back up to it or building different structures. But having an appreciation of the beauty of the world that we live, and nature, the cosmos, history and stuff like that. But it's just the deep analytical, rational component of our side. And ever since I increased my left hand and right hand dexterity in not just improvisational, but in a very complex manner, has developed certain areas of the brain that I know is responsible for looking at things very deeply and complexly, and that's what I call the scientific mind. Now, the scientific mind, obviously, or excuse me, the creative spirit, obviously, is that part of the mind that's responsible for abstract ideas, philosophy, poetry, just creating beautiful things, spontaneous thoughts, improvisation, just a whole gamut of non-logical expression of the mind. And so ever since particularly I would say increasing my left hand dexterity in an improvisational and tapping into that abstractness when I'm playing, has allowed me to look at things outside of the box, connect dots that maybe a lot of people don't see that are somewhat connected, but they're kind of outside of the frame structure, outside of conventional thinking. But if you look at my website, if you look at all the programming that I've done, all the videos, all the shopping cart systems, integrating with YouTube, and overlaying them with not just three-dimensional a three-dimensional approach, but also having colors, having a little bit of animation, and all this stuff is something that I've learned over the last few years, and there's just no way I would have been able to come up unless without stimulating and kind of developing other areas of my mind, or at least stimulating new neural areas. And I'll talk about neurogenesis and neuroplasticity and all the kind of current research that is available online. And again, there is a lot of available research that prove that learning and playing music on the piano, not just piano, but I focus on the piano because of the ambidexterity in the left hand, right hand, is extremely beneficial in the development of the brain, particularly young minds. I've personally have been awakened and transformed by the cognitive benefits of playing and creating music on the piano. And so I really want to take this event and I really hope to share my transformational story, but also back it up with the science and all the research that's available, and hopefully inspire a few people, hopefully many people, to look at music a little bit differently, but hopefully some of them will go out, purchase a piano or a digital piano, and start learning and playing. And if you do already play, maybe you'll play a little bit more, or maybe, you know, hopefully you'll inspire others to pick up music and start playing. It's an important part of humanity, the creative aspect, and it's something that because of what I've gone through and the benefits that I've gained from learning and playing on piano, I definitely feel an obligation at least to share it, and I hope to share it in ways that can make the greatest impact, which are these big locations like the apartment complexes and other venues. So again, come down to the event. It's free. There's going to be some free stuff to be won, and hopefully you'll find a reason to start playing and start sharing. So thank you. I hope to see you there.